VGK versus the Sens preview, the 20-game checkpoint, and locks of the night. It's all ahead, plus our prediction.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
For tonight's game. Hi again, everyone. I'm Tony Cardasco, along with Chris Golick. You can find us on Twitter at TDChrisG. That's him. I'm at Tony Dasco, at Lockdown VGK. And please subscribe by all means. We'd be very thankful, because it is the thankful season, to our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. So it was the game, right, Chris, that Mark Stone said we let them off the hook. This was back on November the 3rd. VGK building that 5-1 advantage early, and then they hung on to defeat the Senators back there in Ottawa, and it was a 5-4 final. So tonight we probably, last time VGK came off the road after that 5-game road swing, we saw the big letdown. Probably won't happen tonight behind the home fans. If they get up 5-1, I feel like they're going to breeze to victory. But I personally would like to see, Chris, the return of defense for the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Defense at home hasn't been an issue. Defense on the road has been an issue, and I'm curious what the home road split is. Maybe we'll check that out for another episode. But yeah, the eye test, definitely at home, we're taking care of business. On the road, not certainly the same circumstance. Maybe if there's a line tonight for Ottawa under 2.5 goals, maybe that's your betting angle. But yeah, going back to this game, let's look at the box score right now from the last time they played. 5-1 lead, right? 5-1 lead. We're cruising, everything is good, and then all of a sudden, Claude Giroux in the second tie, or gets it 5-2. Okay, a little bit of hope, and then Stützle right at the start of the period gives them even more hope, and then the VGK has to survive the final 2.5 minutes of the game, trying not to give up the tying goal. So, I'm trying to think of a better analogy, and I can't. So here it goes. This is for all my video gamers out there that have enjoyed playing Mortal Kombats through the years. At the end when you defeat your opponent, you have the option, if you type in a sequence of buttons of whatever, you perform a finishing move. I'm not going to say the exact thing because I don't want to upset anyone, but a move where you put your opponent in a very bad place. And that's kind of the mindset that the VGK needs in a game like this. VGK has had some trouble finishing teams off and, delivering that fatal blow, if you will, to get them to a good spot. I mean, we haven't had a game really besides the Arizona game where VGK has just kind of cruised to victory. And there's been some opponents in this recent, stand that haven't exactly been up to VGK standards, I guess you can call it, whether VGK is playing down or Tony is, I think, alluded to other teams playing up because VGK is a marked team, whatever that may be. You go back to this game against Ottawa. This is a game tonight where I would love to see VGK right the ship and start, another nice winning streak.
Yeah, it should be a W tonight. We'll get into our predictions later. LT in this game, the first meeting, faced 42 shots. Any chance of flip-flopping the goalies tonight? You don't think so?
See, no, if you flip-flop the goalies tonight, now it means you're going to go Adin Hill, Logan Thompson, Adin Hill. I don't think that's the plan based on what I'm not saying if I think it's the right or wrong thing. I'm simply saying I think Cassidy has a tell, so to speak, with what the plan is for Adin Hill right now.
Okay, hear me out. Who has the input into this rotation? Does Kelly McCrimmon have any say? Does anything come from upstairs? Because I'm sure that you want Logan Thompson in front of the home fans, right? That's your top goaltender right now.
Don't think that
Does
matters.
Anyone else have input? No, I'm just asking. Again, when they're back on home ice, do they want their number one goalie to be playing? Because I would go with Hill tonight, and then on Saturday I would go with LT. Again, maybe just mix it up and maybe make him more fresh. I don't know, but obviously, I think that obviously it'll be probably Logan Thompson, but I'm just wondering who provides that input, if there's any more input from upstairs as far as selling tickets, fan appeal, all of that?
So a couple things. One, if Hill goes tonight, Hill wouldn't go Saturday because there's a game on Friday. I don't see a path, or
That's
I
right.
don't
There's
think.
back to backs.
Yeah, I don't think they go Hill, Thompson, Hill. That's the first thing. And last year, I would not be surprised if there was some competitive influencing. I say competitive with a competitive mind perspective, because obviously things got a bit weird last year with the goalies, and Robin Leonard did get some starts down the stretch before his injury, and that was a very emotional, ticking point for the fan base, for the locker room, for everything. And then you go back to that game against the Caps, obviously, where Robin Leonard was pulled. I think we probably talked about, I think one of our shows, we actually called interference from above. And I do think there was some discussions, maybe McCrimmon possibly managing the lineup from the press box. And I wonder if McCrimmon can ultimately just hey, listen, here's how. Think about Moneyball, the movie Moneyball, right? Where all the issues with the general manager and the coach, and the coach puts out his lineup, and there was all these pushes and pulls. I could see last season maybe a little bit of that going on, but I think this season everyone is probably staying in their lane. I mean, listen, we're 15-4-1 right now, so let's not overthink this right now. I think things are going just fine, and I don't believe McCrimmon is involved in that. And as far as selling tickets goes, I think we're still 103%, 104% as far as attendance goes. So there's no issues there. We're good.
Well, okay. As far as fans showing up to games, I think
That's
that they
fair.
would be more likely to show up, of course, if Logan Thompson is your goaltender on home
Fair.
ice. In that first meeting, Anton Forsberg got chased 5 goals on 19 shots. Cam Talbot came in and he played very well. But since then, they've been both struggling. I think they've both been at about 90%, 0.909, 0.904 save percentage. Talbot got chased the game that I was watching the other night against San Jose. 3 goals on just 7 shots in that game. So
And in San Jose too, right?
yeah, in San Jose. So I think
San
this
Jose's
is
playing better though, but yeah.
yeah. We know that it's fixed, of course, and that's why they're putting the Senators in Las Vegas. And I think the second game of a 5-game road swing. 6-11-1 are the Senators, and they come off of losses to the Devils and to the Sharks. This will be the second game of a 4-game road swing. I stand corrected.
Still fixed.
Yeah, exactly. This is a game where, again, it's a lot of teams in the National Hockey League have all these issues, right? So Brady Tkachuk yesterday saying, all this negativity from the fans. He must have thought that he was talking to me, in our fan base. But from him, he said he's not happy with everyone just blasting the team. And the fans are very negative about DJ Smith, the head coach of this team. So they have issues coming in. And this is, again, right where VGK wants an opponent tonight. So a lot of issues happening behind the scenes. They're not playing good hockey, and we want to see the return of VGK. How is that 1-3-1 defensive structure working out?
At home, a lot better than on the road. Looking at the numbers, I mean,
very true.
There's a complete buy-in right now. And while we're talking about this, folks, I just tossed on Twitter. Would love. Oh, Tony's gone. Tony's gone. There he is. We got him back. Okay. I put on our Twitter right before the show started. What do you feel the biggest strength of the team is, and what do you feel the biggest weakness is? And that might be one of my questions tonight to Coach Cassidy, assuming he's available for the post-game presser. Well, more on that later, obviously. But so back to a couple points that Tony made during his last run there. The Cam Talbot. I'm not sure what the rotation is for the Senators, or if they even have a rotation given what they're going through right now. But Cam Talbot has had some good history against the VGK back in his days with Minnesota. So I would expect to see Cam Talbot, especially given the fact that we chased their other starter last time. And back to the situations with the fans and the coach and everything. I get Brady Tkachuk speaking up and everything, and he is the leader of that team as far as, the locker room, the on ice, the physical, and just everything that he brings. He's a fantastic player. When your team is 6-11-1, especially after, making some moves, Alex DeBrincat, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Alex DeBrincat, you got
Claude
Claude
Giroux.
Giroux. I mean, you got a lot of things happening right there. So that's going to elevate the fans' expectations a little bit. And that Atlantic division got very interesting with the moves that Ottawa made, with the moves that Detroit made, with Buffalo starting to emerge, although Buffalo is slipping a little bit, unfortunately. But then you still got your powerhouses in Boston and Tampa and Toronto and Florida. So, there's some frustration there watching these other teams dominate the division and seeing your team bringing in some high-end talent. You got to have results.
Should be an interesting game tonight. And again, we want to see the return of defense for the Vegas Golden Knights. Speaking of defense, Thomas Chabot should be back tonight. Skated at T-Mobile Arena yesterday with the Senators. The defenseman had that big hit from Travis Konecny. Yeah, Konecny. All right. And so he had a concussion. He was out with a concussion. He should be back. So
anything that helps that lineup right now. I mean, this is let's see. When did Ottawa last play? So if they practice,
they played the same night as VGK Monday. So they practice at T-Mobile on Tuesday. This is Wednesday.
So they're Vegas flu. They've had a night in Vegas. They're 6-11-1. Maybe that angle will play out tonight. Who knows?
They've had a couple of nights in Vegas if they came in Monday night late.
Where they play Monday? Was it San Jose?
San Jose. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they definitely Monday night. Tuesday was probably a rough practice, and I'm sure they were maybe in the lounge of over at one of the casinos next door, either New York, or probably the new, and it's not Monte Carlo. I'm calling it Monte Carlo. I don't care what it's called. It's the Monte Carlo.
It's called Park MGM, but okay.
Monte Carlo. It was so much better as Monte Carlo.
The
machines were looser.
Oh wow.
I like old school. I like old school Vegas. I'm not a big fan of a lot of these new school pish posh boutiques.
All right, I'm going to work on my pronunciation of Konecny.
It might be Konecny. I honestly don't know. I pull his cards all day long, and I'm not lying, folks. So here's a funny one, really fast here. So again, my living is opening packs of primarily hockey cards for people. So hockey for my house as far as business goes. And we're playing the Ottawa Senators tonight. They have Tim Stützle. I've probably for 8 months called him Stützle, like a toaster strudel, Stützle. And I was listening to probably the Ottawa game actually last time BGK played him, and Stützle. Okay. Oops.
That's okay. It just happens, right? He's got that little 2-dot thing over the U, and okay, all that.
Carry the one. Yeah, I got you.
I got you. So coming up next, we've got a check-in for the 20 game mark for the Vegas Golden Knights. Stay with us. Locked On Golden Knights. Our next partner has a product that we literally use each and every day. And I started to take Athletic Greens because I didn't have the time in the morning. Of course, here in Vegas, you're always on the run, and also wanted to get better sleep. It really helps in making me relax. I've used it for about 4 months now, and it doesn't taste like it's super healthy. That's kind of a mild tropical taste that I actually look forward to taking each and every morning. What is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you are absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day off right. Special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all of those things. I do take AG with me when I travel, helps me to stay healthy. And this cold here is because I've been sitting on ice the last few days. Okay. No complaints, but I'm broadcasting games on a basketball court there at the Dollar Loan Center.
He's complaining.
This is not because of Athletic Greens. The ice is underneath the basketball court, of course. So anyway, they have over 7,000 5-star reviews. For every purchase, they do donate to organizations helping to get nutritious food for kids in need, which is really super. And that includes No Kid Hungry right here in the U.S. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Once again, athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. And thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Podcast free and available wherever you get your podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. Chris, you want to do a check-in on VGK through the first 20 games.
Yeah, I'm just kind of going through some stats right now here. I was curious about plus minus and things like that. But, there's a series of, moments in the season when you kind of look in the mirror, and I'm sure the coaches do it. I'm sure the general managers and the owners, and just kind of a progress report and a status update. And 15-4-1. Let's certainly not overthink this a whole lot. And like I said, I just put a tweet out there. I'm kind of curious what you all think, and I think I'll bring this up to Coach Cassidy tonight, depending on the mood of the room. But biggest strengths, biggest weaknesses, and how are things going as a whole right now? Pretty simple, folks. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. This is your kid that's kind of getting straight A's in school right now, but there's one subject where they're maybe getting like a flirting with an A- type of grade right now. And obviously special teams, that's something we need to bring up. Obviously the kill and the power play are still, I don't believe, as highly ranked as they need to be for a team that's going to make a deep run potentially. Goaltending, I was just looking at save percentages and things like that. I was kind of curious how things lined up there. Logan Thompson was right around I think 9-1, and Aiden Hill was a 909, right around their career mark right now. So the goalies are both playing very, very well, making VGK has been in every single game this season. Their 4 losses were 1-goal losses, with the exception of the Sharks game, which was a series of empty netters at the end of the game. So obviously we hit on this yesterday, and this is going to be something that's going to be talked about, is that third line. And I'm really curious about that third line when Nick Waugh returns, if they go back to our energy line of Waugh, Coley, and Carrier, or if they make a move with Nick Waugh. I'll say this again. I don't think it matters who centers that fourth line, as long as they can do well in the faceoff circle and play defense. And I think Brett Howden on the defensive side has a little more strength than even Nick Waugh might. I don't know. Nick Waugh is not a stay-at-home type of center. He can rush the puck. He can manage a line in the sense that he can create some opportunities for his other forwards. And Colasar and Carrier don't need someone to do that. Just get the puck over the blue line, put it in the corner, and watch Carrier dig it out and rush it to the net. Watch Colasar, put his butt in front of the net and take a puck off the back of his head and score a goal. However it goes in, whatever they need to do, that is certainly what that fourth line does so far. What do you say, Tony? What's besides William Karlsson, what's your biggest weakness right now for VGK?
The biggest weakness is just, defense playing offense and giving up goals, and the odd man rush in the other direction. And that's a concern still to me. Alex Pietrangelo is just playing lights out. And I was looking at the total number of goals there, or points for the defense, 46 points for the defense at the 20 game mark. And so that concerns me a little bit, and just tightening up that neutral zone defense and the entry into the zone. I saw where Alec Martinez now has 91 block shots, 91 block shots for a guy that was hurt, and you would think he would come back and just would be a little bit scared, or I don't know what, but he just is jumping in front of pucks still. That obviously, we have to make mention of that. Jack Eichel, you said you're talking plus minus. He's a plus 15. He's been consistent. He's been there. He's been good. He's been solid. He's the leader of this team, 24 points. I like what Mark Stone has done now the last few games. Perhaps he is back 100%, pain-free. Back issues, we know, they come and go too. So that back will never be the same. We can tell you that. So, I just think it's a concern to me when you have your defensemen pinching like the way that they do on the offensive end and trying to score goals, and then they get caught up in those long rushes. And so I'd like to see them defensively just get a little bit better, go back to that defense. And that's probably why they're giving up more goals the last couple of games, right? Because the defense was bailing out the goaltenders. It was helping them out the way that things are structured with Bruce Cassidy. If that defense does not play well, then, and we want some bodies in front of the net and get more deflections in off your back, your noggin, what have you. Off the camera lens.
I'll tell you, that was funny. All right. So looking back here at the plus minus, I still think plus minus is an important stat, but
I
there's a
do
lot
too.
of people that are doubting it. And you can see it in basketball and stuff now. Like you've seen over about the last decade, plus minus even coming into, and you can give a better analysis if you care to there, but plus minus is a pretty generic stat. And the higher your pluses, the more goals you're out there for. If it's closer to zero or the minus side, the more goals you're giving up. And in my opinion, that's important. Plus minus does not factor on special teams as well, which is important. So, it's a pretty good measurable in my opinion. So look at a plus minus right now. Obviously, the top line, Stevie is the worst at a plus 10, Stone's 11, Eichel is plus 15. Now line 2, this is kind of interesting to me. Marchessault is -1, Riley Smith is plus 5, and then Carlson is plus 1. Looking at your third line-ish, I say ish because it's kind of a work in progress. Howden is a plus 1, Kessel's a -1, and then we can look at Cotter and Amadio. Amadio's a -1. Cotter's a plus 4. That's actually noteworthy, I guess. And while we're reviewing this, Will Carrier plus 3, Nick Waugh plus 3, and everyone's favorite Keegan Colasar is plus 3 right now. Plus Tony. Line 4 is amazing. So if anything, line 2, Marchie and Carlson, maybe there's a little bit of a defensive liability on that side if we're going to, split hairs right now about that second line. In Marchessault, I don't think we've seen him score a goal, but he's getting assists right now. So again, we're splitting hairs right now. We're splitting hairs right now, and I think it was Owen Krebs that put it up and getting to know him up in the box. Nice guy, but he mentioned his tweet today was 15-4-1. What are y'all going to complain about today?
Right.
I think that's actually a great tweet. That is really a fantastic, simple tweet. And I'm still working on my tweet game. Mine are too long. I look at the characters as you should use every character to get your message out instead of
get to some mileage out of that tweet.
Yeah, yes. But I got to work on that. And so, credit to Owen for a fantastic tweet. And really that's a great point. 15-4-1. There's not a lot to complain about, but there is concerns right now. And there are, I still will say, I do believe there are some troubled waters ahead as the schedule gets better. And VGK, Tony's alluded to the schedule and, the Pacific being a pillow right now, as far as how soft it is. It's just not that great of a division through 20 games. Maybe teams like Edmonton and Calgary are doing what we thought VGK would do, where, they're out of the gate, they're, 500-ish, so they're going to show some flashes, and then they're going to go on a run and do just fine as it progresses. And Kelly McCrimmon, in his most recent podcast, said, that there's a series of checkpoints, right? I think he said you want the second half to be better than the first half, the playoffs to be better than your second half, kind of stuff like that. And I think you can, chunk that down a little bit into 10 and 20 game checkpoints, which is what we are doing right now. Here's, maybe this is kind of putting both of us on the spot here, but were the second 10 games better than the first 10 games for the VGK as far as just the eye test? The record is what it is, but at just the eye test. And I feel like in the last 10 games, there's been some exposure, if you will. We've had a couple injuries, every now and then, and line 3 has slowed down. That's a measurable that we definitely know of right now. So I would say that the team has actually digressed a tiny bit if we're going to go from the first 10 to the second 10, and the record might indicate otherwise, but you just look at the way the team is on the road versus at home. You even look at some of the home games recently, a couple of rough losses on home ice to the Blues and our key rival, if you will, the San Jose Sharks. So going into the next 10 games, I think it's very simple. Did the team play better than the previous 10 games? And I think that's kind of how we look at the season. And then obviously the deeper we get, we can chunk that out into 20 game stretches and ultimately to the playoffs.
Stevenson's still my MVP. He's got 19 points through the first 20 games, unsung hero. And I just think everything he does on that ice is just fantastic. He's just one of those guys, doesn't get all the splashy headlines, doesn't do like his gender reveal between periods, just a guy that just is a normal stinking guy. I really like him.
No, I'm with you, Tony. And he was one of the players, that I selected that might possibly have a slowdown under Cassidy's system for no rhyme or reason, no analytics behind that statement. It was just simply, you would think someone needs to digress a little bit year over year. It's a new situation. And I obviously thought Carlson would excel, and he hasn't excelled, but I think he's off to a better overall start than the previous couple seasons with DeBoer stats wise. And obviously we'll see where the dust settles there. So I guess just maybe we'll kind of put each other on the spot right now. Is there a player on the VGK roster that we feel has digressed year over year? And I think I'll start right away here. I'll give Tony a second to think, since I put him on the spot.
Kolesar.
No, Kolesar's excelled. He's on pace for like 14, 15 goals right now. That's huge.
A guy that's pretty quiet. A guy that's pretty quiet is Braden McNabb.
Quiet, but sitting at he's got 5 assists, which that's fine. We'll take anything we can get out of him on that side.
Yeah.
He's a +8, Tony.
Yeah.
He's
but he's
quiet.
Right, he's a quiet guy. He's just there, right? He's, again, not one of those splashy players.
But he'll send you into that. He'll send you into the 6th row with someone eating tacos if you're not careful. Zach Whitecloud. This is someone I've always banged the drum about as far as just being a key contributor. 1 goal, 3 assists. He's a +4 right now. I'm sorry, scratch that. He has 4 points. He is a +2 right now. So if we're going to factor that throughout now to the rest of the season, he's on pace to be roughly a +8 or so. I don't know if you do the same thing for plus minus as you do for the other stats, but for this conversation, we'll do it like that. And he was over +20, I think +22 last year on a team that had a much worse goal differential. So is this maybe what you alluded to, Tony, where the defense has taken some chances and, Zach Whitecloud maybe getting caught up there a little bit? I don't know. But if I'm going to look at someone that maybe has taken a step back, I'll certainly start there. And that's really, as far as players that have been on the roster year over year, players that have gone backwards. I mean, we can't go this far without mentioning Phil Kessel. Even though he was with the Coyotes last year, he was on a much stronger point per game clip than he is right now with the VGK as well.
Yeah, I still have questions about Kessel. That's who I was going to bring up. Just, I don't know year over year, but I still have some questions about what his contributions are to this team. Again, that third line is struggling, and part of the reason, perhaps lack of chemistry. Okay, it's still early. I wanted to ask you to grade out Nick Hague, who came in late. He came in late, remember, due to the contract negotiations. We got to sign him. Oh, and then they finally signed him a couple of days before the start of the season.
I mean, he's on that defensive pairing with Whitecloud. So we'll start there. 1-3 right now. 1 goal disallowed earlier in the season, which is semi-noteworthy that he was able at least to get.
Are they overrated? Because a lot of people tend to believe that that's the best third pairing.
I mean, are they overrated? People believe they're the best third pairing. I mean, maybe I'll go back to 15-4-1. I guess I don't know. I mean, if we're going to call them the best third pairing and say, is that overrating them? I think it's a fair statement. Are they a fantastic third pairing and one of the better ones? Sure. And maybe earlier in the season, they were a little better. And like I said, I believe the last 10 games were not as good as the first 10 games. I do want to go back to Phil Kessel. You did mention what are his contributions. And I think there is an unmeasurable contribution that probably does need to be brought up. Every time he takes the ice, he is setting a new milestone. He is setting a new record. He is a media, even though you don't see him a lot with the media, he is a media magnet in the sense everyone wants to get a piece of him. What's the record? What does it feel like? How do you keep, all the same questions that he gets. I think there's been now 3 or 4 games where he has been recognized for this streak. And what we don't know is if the other road teams are recognizing him as he goes to the arena for setting this record. It's very common where, people do, like Patrick Marleau did get, recognized for a long time after what he did. And I honestly don't know if Kessel's getting that. What I'm getting at here is all these other players, whether it's Jack Eichel and your veterans, Mark Stone, or, your younger players in Hague, in Whitecloud, in Paul Cotter, they are watching how he carries himself. They are watching how he prepares every game. I'm not going to make a hot dog comment. I know someone's going to make a comment like that, but not for this conversation. Every time he takes the ice, it's a milestone. he is a professional's professional in the sense that he shows up to work, he shows up on time. There's no one that has any dirt on him as far as his locker room interactions, as far as him not being a team player. So something like that is something that will help the locker room greatly. And I still stress you're going to get Phil Kessel 1.0 during the season, and then Phil Kessel 2.0 when the playoffs start. So that's my Kessel conversation for you.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask you before we go to a quick break here, how much of Pete DeBoer do we still see in this team? Number one, the sense of urgency. We know that Bruce Cassidy sounded the alarm immediately. Those two games, St. Louis and the Sharks, we need a sense of urgency, right? Sounds the alarm. The second 20, the over under for the longest losing streak, 2.5. Will we see this team lose 3 consecutive games?
For in the next 20 or the next 10?
Well, we're going the
20
next
games.
Well, we did this.
Okay, because we're doing 20. Good point. Will we see? Yes, absolutely. You're going to see a 3-game losing streak. It's just a numbers game. If they don't have a 3-game losing streak and they simply are a 500 team for the next 20 games, that's success in my opinion, because there is due to be some digression. What was your first question? It was good. I had answered. I lost it.
How much of Pete DeBoer do we see? I just started throwing everything at you.
No, I like it. This
Pete
is
DeBoer,
this
the
is
sense
good
of
right
urgency,
now.
all that.
I think you still see some of Pete DeBoer in this team. I mean, he was the coach for a solid 2.5 seasons there, but you see the next level of it. And this goes back to my tweet during the Canucks game for the first 35. For the first 35 minutes of that game, it was Pete DeBoer's Golden Knights. It was shots from the perimeter. It was some lazy shots, but you also did see some better shots. You saw some better opportunities. And then all of a sudden, here comes this guy named Jack Eichel, who just creates 2 remarkable scoring chances, and bang, bang, VGK is off and running. And then, the third period is what it was. So sure, there is some of Pete DeBoer's system still here, but you have a better additional system, if you will, that's taking this team to the next level. Maybe it's still Pete DeBoer's system with a splash of Jack Eichel.
Yeah, we see some of that laziness prevailing from that, where there's no bodies in front of the net and things like that. The shots are coming from the outside. They're not quality shots. So good discussion there. First
Definitely.
20
that was good
for VGK. Coming up next, we will have our locks of the night. Don't miss it. Our predictions for tonight's game, VGK versus the Senators. More after this on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Someone asked me, why do we have that little pause in there so we could insert all the fine commercials to thank our great sponsors. Thanks for making us your first podcast that you listen to every day. We appreciate that. And check out, please, the YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. One of our avid listeners, I missed one of his tweets. I retweeted it today.
Oh, Ray got you. It's my buddy, Sin City Sports. He got you.
He got me in the fog. No fog because there's no sun this morning. So tell the listeners again that missed it the other day about what the locks of the night is.
This is a simple thing, folks. I'm going to take 2 players. Tony's going to take 2 players, and then we're going to put a tweet out sometime in the next couple hours asking for suggestions from listeners to take 2 players. The only thing we're going to ask is that you don't repeat the players from the previous game. I'll announce who those were. And then we have 2 points if your player gets a goal, 1 point if your player gets an assist. And this is an ongoing thing all the way until the last game of the season. Hopefully that's game 5 or 6 of the Stanley Cup final. And we'll see if I'm the winner. We'll see if Tony's the winner, or we'll see if the fam is able to beat the experts, because I think somewhere people refer to us as experts. So we fooled someone along the way. I think I went first last time, Tony. So why don't you start it off with 2 different players from your game on Monday?
Okay, I am going to go with Chandler Stevenson because I'm a fanboy. I just like this guy. He's so consistent, and he shows up every single stinking night. Okay, enough of that. And Shea Theodore. And I had a goal taken off because of a stupid camera lens. I thought it was another puck. I thought that was craziness. But those are my 2 players, Chandler Stevenson and Shea Theodore.
I think I'm going to go chalk tonight because I didn't go chalk last time.
Eichel.
Last week I was last game I was Petro and Carly. I wanted to give Tony an opportunity to get a nice lead on me, so that's why we did that. But I think you said you were Stevie and
Theodore.
Stevie and Theodore. So let's go Riley. Let's go Jack Eichel. Let's take one on each line today. Let's take one on each line. I'm going with the chalk today.
You are a chalkster.
I'm eating that chalk.
Tonight, I think we're going to see the return of defense for VGK. I think that's going to be the primary point of focus in this contest because, again, there's just been too much open ice, too many odd man rushes. I think they're going to get that defensive structure working. I see a low scoring game. Probably it's got to be 3-1, 3-2.
I'm actually writing down your picks right now, so I don't forget. I couldn't find anything to write on right now.
The last 10 games too, I think 10 games this season, we've seen the Senators give up the first goal of the game. So if VGK gets that first goal, they'll get the second goal before I think they even score. Could be 2-0, but I'm going to say 3-1. I'll say 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, this is no different than the Coyotes game. This is certainly an opportunity, not to get right, just to, keep the pedal to the metal. And let's see what Cassidy has learned on a game over game basis, right? On the road, the team did give up a tough lead and was able to hold on, thankfully. I mean, if they would have lost that game, oh my goodness, we would have had a field day, unfortunately. I definitely think Ottawa only gets one behind LT tonight, assuming that's our goalie. And I feel a 4-1 game. I feel a 4-1 game right now. All four lines hopefully will be involved. That's the important thing right now. So let's go 4-1 VGK with 2 goals from on the power play with Eichel and Smith involved.
Okay. What do you think a total in this game might be? 6 or 6.5?
6.5. Give me 10 seconds. I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, I would definitely like.
It's got to be the old 6.5. And,
I would like to take
at home, I'm scared of Vegas on as far as an over under team. On the road, I love Vegas as an over. Every over 6.5. I've been pretty much playing that and then backing it up sometimes with VGK to get 4 goals or greater at roughly even money. We still got time. Okay. All right. Hockey.
Yeah. Just curious what the total is. Cause this season, as you mentioned,
6.5. I'd be shocked if it was 6.
You've talked a lot about the totals being, higher this year. And we did catch 5.5s in the past and 6, and now 6.5s are pretty much the norm.
Whoa, I got here, Tony. I'm cutting you off. I got one for you. First of all, it's 6.5 is the over under, and it's minus 115, minus 105. The grand salami. You ready?
Yeah.
96.5.
I didn't even explore that, but this would have been a good one 96. To take today.
Oh my God.
Hey, did VGK push the grand salami over with that third period?
They might have, Tony. I was actually tracking it, and there was there was one other game that was going that night. VGK certainly did their part.
San Jose. It was the San Jose game. That was 4-1.
If we got 10 seconds, I want to go back. If they both had like 7 or 8 goals, then I think it definitely did push it over. Give me we'll get this in. We still got we got like 55 seconds. This is great. Plenty of time.
Jeez Louise. But once that last minute we lose, okay, the counter, it's less than a minute. We got to go.
Go ahead.
All right. Thanks for making Locked On Golden Knights your first listen. Next listen, make out. Make sure that don't make out. Check out Locked On Sports Today, that podcast. From a man, Chris Golick, do you have it on the way out?
6 goals total were scored. It was close.
Yeah, 6 goals. Okay. I'm Tony Cardasco. We'll see you tomorrow right here. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Have a great Turkey Eve night. For Chris Golick, Tony Cardasco, we'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.